as before, you are caught in a loop.
Hey guys, Moby here. In this video I want to present to you my personal favorite of meta build. It's the Cast on Critical Strike Battlemage Inquisitor. This is a very well-rounded build. It has some good clear, some good boss damage, it has a smooth playstyle thanks to Cyclone, and also it has very nice defenses and it's pretty tanky. This build is based around the Inquisitor Ascendancy and its Instruments of Virtue, which gives us Battlemage, and this makes us gain added spell damage equal to the damage of your main hand weapon. This is also why we want to use a two-handed weapon with lots of flat elemental DPS. So now you might ask, why even use Battlemage? Because nobody uses it, it's very unpopular. The advantage of having Battlemage and having an attack-based stuff is that you can scale both the attacks with the Cyclone and the spells with, in this case, Purifying Flame. So since we're hitting anyway with Cyclone, we can also scale the attack damage, and so this is kinda efficient. The second reason, as you've probably noticed, I have Fortify or Fortification up almost every time. And this will even get better in the next patch with 3.19, because the amount of fortification that you get from attacks will be almost doubled, as they said in the manifesto. So we have Cyclone and the Fortify up all of the time, which is a huge defensive layer. Cyclone, you're not standing still, and the Fortify, it reduces all damage. The third reason why the Battlemage is good, or why attacks also make sense, is this node here, Clever Thief. It gives you lots of attack damage leeched as life and leeched as mana. Also combined with this leech mastery, it's a very effective tool in order to handle the mana cost from cast on crit and also get some leech for your life. The fourth reason is that the Battlemage gear is kinda cheap. Nobody wants to play an elemental axe or an elemental sword. Nobody does that. I don't know why. Staves are a bit more expensive, but also they are not used that much, so nobody wants it. Then the fifth reason is Crier of the Storm. That is quite a powerful amulet, not only because of the crit that you get from the overcapped lightning resistance, but also from the lightning bolt. The lightning bolt scales with the Battlemage, and there's basically no other way to scale the lightning bolt, or very few ways. It has no sockets, you cannot scale it like this, but the Battlemage is a very nice option, and this helps a lot with single target. The sixth reason that comes into my mind is Blizzard Crown. Blizzard Crown adds 81 to 128 cold damage in this case, and it adds it to spells and to attacks. So these are just some advantages that came into my mind. So let's go over the skill gems. Cyclone, as I said, is linked to Cast on Crit, or later Awakened Cast on Crit. And Purifying Flame, that's what I've chosen because it has very high base damage. It converts 50% of the physical damage to fire, and also it creates Consecrated Ground, which is very useful combined with Sanctuary, because enemies that stand on Consecrated Ground take 15% increased damage. And the Consecrated Ground that is just created by Sanctuary, while Stationary is not enough from the area, and also it's not triggered as reliably because we're moving a lot. So that's just not enough. So that's the main setup. You can also choose Shock Nova, for example, instead of Purifying Flame if you'd like to, or Blazing Salvo maybe. Then the second one is Vortex. We have the Vortex on the left click. It is linked to Onslaught, Ice Bite, and Power Charge on Critical, in order to generate Onslaught, which gives us attack speed and movement speed, and frenzy charges and power charges. That's very important. Then I've linked Vengeance to it also. So the Vengeance triggers when you get hit or might get triggered, and this could also gain you Onslaught, frenzies, or power charges, or even Fortify due to the armor implicit. And then it's also linked to Ancestral Protector. Ancestral Protector we drop near the boss because it increases our attack speed. Sigil of Power is also dropped near the boss because it gives us damage to spells and to attacks, which is very good. Then we have Determination, Precision, Herald of Ash, and Herald of Thunder as auras. Herald of Thunder I've linked also to Life Leech, which is kind of nice, kind of useful, but it's not necessary. Cast when damage taken, level 10, is linked to Immortal Call. Immortal Call sacrifices the endurance charges. These are getting generated by this node alone. 10% chance to gain an endurance charge on melee critical strike, so we have more than enough endurance charges so that we can sacrifice them comfortably. And the last one is Leap Slam with 45 faster attacks, and in this case Innervate. The Leap Slam we leap in the packs, as you've seen, in order to get the fortification, especially 20 fortification, and then we can Cyclone, and through the Cyclone we can keep up the fortification. This will get easier next league, so this is a very good one, and the Innervate also gives a buff that also our main setups benefits from. Let's go over the gear. As I said, we need a two-handed weapon, preferably a staff. Axes or swords are okay as well, but staves have the advantage of having chance to block spell damage in this case, or block attack damage, and also they have the advantage of getting some very good nodes here in the Templar area, especially also this one and this node, in order to gain endurance charges. So that's the biggest advantage in my opinion. We want to have at least 1000 DPS. This one has like 1170. It could have a lot more attack speed. The crit chance is solid, and also it has some strength for this node here. We want to have strength and intelligence in order to cap our crit. So then we have the chest piece, which has some armor and energy shield, also life and resistances, and melee hits have chance to fortify. This is very important. The 12% of damage taken recouped as life could be replaced by something else. Then we have the Choir of the Storm. We already talked about it. It helps with a single target, and if you have lots of lightning resistance, it also helps with the critical strike chance. The Blizzard Crown is good as well because it helps us. It gives another source of flat damage, and also the downside of it, that hits treat cold resistance as 10% higher than actual value, can be negated through Inquisitor's Inevitable Judgment completely. Then we have the belt, just life, some resistances, some strength, some boots with movement speed, life, and also brittle implicit. Brittle drops brittle ground. It helps us also with the critical strike chance. This will get nerfed in 3.19, but it's not that bad because our crit, especially for the Cyclone, is pretty much kept anyway. Then we have the rings. The rings with life, some accuracy, strength, also some resistances. And this ring is, I crafted it myself with Harvest. It's probably very expensive and also not needed. You can just get like strength, intelligence, and then you can get the life gain for each enemy hit by your spells. That's kind of useful. And also we have life on it. Something similar would be okay. You don't need the crit chance, for example, but it's quite good. Then the gloves. These are very underused. This is a very good pair of gloves, and it fits so well to this build. The reason for that is that with the vortex on the left click, we always create chilling areas like this. We always create these chilling areas, and it says that enemies in chilling areas take 30% increased lightning damage. This is good. And 26% chance to sap enemies in chilling areas. Sapped enemies deal less damage. So that's also a very good defensive layer. And then also we have a 20% increased effect of non-damaging ailments, which is also sap, shocked, brittle, also freeze, and chill. That's pretty great. And since they are so cheap, I also got some pair of those with Enfeeble on hit, which is another defensive layer to this build. Finally, let's go over the tree. As I said, nobody wants to play Battlemage. This is why I bought the Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh jewel for Instruments of Virtue. They were like 30 cows each because nobody wants to play it, and next league nobody wants to play it as well. So this will be pretty cheap. The other route is kind of clear. You go this way for the regeneration, and you go this way for the crit and for the ignore monster elemental resistances. This has even become more important with the Arch Nemesis modifiers. So the rest of the tree is kind of basic. We grab all of the elemental damage nodes as possible, and the nodes that scale both the attacks and the spells. So this, for example, is elemental damage. Here we have effect of non-damaging ailments. Here we have the stuff nodes. Those are global as well. Increased crit chance and crit multi. So for both spells and attacks, as well as these nodes here, they are global as well. So that's pretty important that we want to scale both the attacks and the spells. We do that also with area damage, because the Cyclone does area damage, as well as the Purifying Flame, for example, or also the Vengeance, and also the Lightning Bolt of Choir of the Storm. Then here I took a Thread of Hope in order to get Iron Will, in order to apply strength's damage bonus to spells as well. And since we're stacking some strength, we have like 339 strength. That's kind of okay, but it could be a lot higher as well. And then we get Glancing Blows in order to get some block chance. We have 64% spell block. This is more important than the attack block in my opinion. 24% is just not a lot. This could be improved by far, but the spell block is more important in my opinion. Then here we get some armor, some resistances, lethal pride. It gives us strength and also some nice modifiers, maximum fortification, double damage, fortification, double damage again and again, double damage, reduced extra damage from critical strikes. So if they are rolled well, these are very, very powerful. Then we get life, of course, life, mana. We travel down here. Life again. We are a bit starving for attack speed, especially with this pretty slow weapon. So a jewel with attack speed is also pretty useful. Also for leveling, a Martyr of Innocence is also a very nice, very budget option, and it's not that worse, honestly, compared to this one. So then we are going here this way. We want to grab attack speed as much as possible, and here we have crit, movement speed, and this node here, as I've already said, this one is very powerful. Combined with this mastery, I tried it out, and the mastery is very important as well. You regenerate, or you get life and mana back that fast, so that you don't get any mana problems with that much of mana reserved. So to sum it up, this is a very smooth and well-rounded endgame build that can do most of the content easily. And also it makes use of items that nobody else wants to use, such as Algor Mortis, Choir of the Storm, and a two-handed elemental damage weapon. If you're interested to dig further into this build, the POB is in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.